What's up, guys? Mason the Rock Henderson here, and this is Iron Fist Season 2, Episode 1, The Fury of Iron Fist. So, of course, out of all the Marvel Netflix shows, this is the one that I've probably been looking forward to. I'm not. Well, okay. It's not that I haven't been looking forward to it, but there is kind of that hesitancy of everybody says it's bad. It got canceled after this season. How bad is this going to be? Um, so going into it, I'm kind of already going in with lowered expectations anyway, so hopefully they can at least achieve higher than the lower expectations. Fingers crossed. But yeah, based on this first episode, I'm not really interested in it yet. I mean, there are some good elements here and there. I feel like some of the chemistry between Danny and Colleen is still pretty strong in my opinion. Although at the end it feels like they're doing something where maybe they're growing apart for some reason. Um, but yeah, I mean overall it's not terrible. It's just not that interesting. The other big, I think probably the biggest problem I have with this show, and I think I remember talking about this in season one as well. Joy's reasoning for why she hates Danny now, it's very flimsy. Oh, he came back into my life and he ruined all of this stuff. But did he really though? I feel like you had more to do with it being ruined. You could have worked with him, and now you two could be achieving stuff together. But instead, because she's so selfish, she's just like, "Oh, he came back into it. Now all of a sudden he's trying to take over, and blah 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 blah." And just very angry for no real reason. And I wouldn't have that much of a problem if she were just a side character. But the problem is she's one of the main characters, and it kind of looks like that's where this season is headed. Is going to be she and Davos are trying to take down Danny because they both feel wronged by him. Davos's reasoning is a little bit stronger, I think. I mean, I still feel like the fact that he's really almost turning evil is a little too much, and I kind of felt the same way about the guy, what's his name? I'm going to forget his name now. The guy from Doctor Strange that, Mordo, I think? I don't remember. Um, But there was just a moment where he's like, "Oh, no more wizards. There are too many wizards," or something like that. And at the end of the movie, he decides to be a bad guy. I kind of feel like they did the same thing with Davos, where he obviously was upset with Danny because he wasn't returning from as Iron Fist, but then to just go full like, "Oh, I'm going to kill him," and I don't know, it just seemed a little too much for somebody who I think was friends with Danny for a while. Of course, in this first episode, they do sort of, I guess, go back on that a little bit because he feels like Danny's always been trying to block him since the very beginning. So maybe their friendship was not as strong as they were perpetuating in the first season. And so I think that's just a sign of more bad writing. Just you write a friendship in the first season and it seems a little too strong. So when he turns by the second season, now you've rewritten it to where, no, he never really liked him. He only pretended to. At least that's what I got from it. Maybe I missed something. But from what I remember, it seemed like they were pretty close in the first season. He was just angry with Danny for leaving instead of staying to protect. And now for this season, he's like, "Oh no, I never liked you. You were always in my way. You were always one upping me." Blah 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 blah. So yeah, it's a little flimsy for reasoning, and maybe it won't be the main story this season, but it certainly seems like it's headed that way. So I don't quite know what to expect there. Aside from that, though, some of the stuff with Joy trying to take half of the company, or I don't think it was half of the company. I don't remember exactly what she wanted, but she wanted part of the company. And Danny just like, yeah, yeah, of course, anything for you, and just gives it to her. And Ward, of course, is upset with that. Ward is in some sort of rehab, but then his sponsor is banging him, so I don't really know what's going on with that. And then I think that's about it as far as the side stories are concerned. I will say at least there's not a ton of plot going on right now. I mean, you got the main story, which is Danny trying to protect the city. All of the different triad groups, I think, are going to war with each other. So he's trying to stop that from involving innocent human lives. There's something with Colleen. She sees some sort of box that reminds her of her family heirloom, I think. So there is some stuff that I think connects together, but overall it's not as overstuffed plot, which I think is good, because I mean that if you wanted to throw in all the problems and then add on top of that, oh, but they also have an overstuffed, complicated plot, well then it would make it just awful. But right now it's just it's not bad, it's not good, it's just not interesting. And that's, I think, the biggest failure so far. But only episode 1. Maybe they'll find something to make it a bit more interesting as we go along. We shall see. But anyway, that's it for this one. See you guys at the next one. And now for episode 2. The city's not for burning. So, things are getting weird. We've definitely met some very kooky characters these past 2 episodes. First of all, I forgot to talk about Mary. Apparently, she's got split personality disorder, at least from what I can tell. We saw her like in the first episode. She just randomly popped up, and then all of a sudden now she's an important character. So, yeah, very cliche in that respect. But we see her like freaking out at one point, and then she takes some medicine and starts laughing maniacally. So, I don't know. She keeps finding these post-it stickers that are like giving her information, like don't leave the house, stuff like that. The one in this one she gets at the very end says stay away from Danny Rand. I will say it was almost kind of humorous as she gets that note that says stay away from Danny Rand. She starts folding it and she has like this very intense look on her face. And then the dramatic, intense music starts playing. Like this is some, oh my gosh, guys, like she's folding the note. Dun 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 dun. I'm just like, this is not as scary or intense as the show thinks it is. I found that kind of funny in like a goofy way. But yeah, I don't really know. Unless she has like superpowered abilities and maybe her alternate identity is evil or something, because we see her go into the bathroom at Danny and Colleen's place, and then after like she has her little freak out, she wipes away the mirror and she has like this different look on her face. She ties her hair in a ponytail and she just walks out. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for this. So, I mean, that's the best thing I could think of is she's got some sort of multiple identity disorder. But as far as what this means for the plot, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this means, oh, she's evil and she's going to try to kill Danny, but Mary actually likes Danny. We see that, I guess, probably her other personality is taking a ton of pictures of Danny, and so now it's telling her to stay away from him for some reason. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be some throwaway story or if this is actually going to be important to the main plot. Whatever the case, we also see in this one Davos and Joy, their plan is forwarding a little bit. Apparently, they need some sort of bowl from one of Joy's friends from college. It sounds like they don't actually get along, but so they find a way to get her interested in Davos, and for some reason, she just happens to be really, really interested in him to the point where Joy's like, "Yeah, just sleep with her, and then we'll use that as leverage to get your bowl that we need." So yeah, lucky them that she just happened to be interested in Davos and willing to cheat on her husband for him. Go figure. um, like, wouldn't it have been much more interesting if she turned out to be like an upstanding woman and they had to find a way. They try to blackmail her, but she is so upstanding that she won't be like she doesn't do anything to be blackmailed. Instead of, oh, just everybody has a reason to be blackmailed. Everybody has a dark side. It feels like I'm going back to Jessica Jones. Everybody has something dark about them. So I don't know. It's one of those coincidental things where, oh yeah, we need to find a reason for them to be able to blackmail. Got it. She wants to sleep with Davos. Boom. Problem solved. We also have. There's one other thing. Oh, the whole the gang war going on. Colleen meets those same kids that she beat up. They're trying to kill her because she beat them up, and then this one kid randomly just like, hey, I'm done with this life, and they even let him run out of the room after her. Like, I don't know. It just seemed a little weird that they would just be like, oh, he's gonna go talk to her. I'm sure that it's nothing bad. I don't know. I don't know if this is going anywhere. Ultimately, at the end, Yang, who I think is the leader of the Golden Tigers, I believe. I think. But he gets a visit from Davos because Davos wants the docks and he's saying no. So then Davos knocks him on the neck a few times and then kills him. I don't know. I don't know where any of this is going. It's not all that interesting still. It's getting a little bit more complicated, which I said it wasn't too complicated, and now I'm starting to realize, oh, it's getting there. It's starting to throw in a few other plot lines that we don't necessarily need. But I think the biggest point for this one, for it in its favor, was the flashback between Danny and Davos, seeing them fight. I still feel like season 1, they didn't do a good job of showing us this rivalry between the two of them. I still felt like they were close friends that were having a fight, but in this fight we do see that they didn't. There was always that rivalry, even from the beginning. So I still put that more as a fault on season one than this season. But as far as the fight, I thought it was a very well done fight. I thought it showed both sides of them, how they can both be ruthless. We even got to see Davos's father stepping in and stopping the fight, which I think also probably is another reason why Davos resents Dany, because I think he also resents his father for the whole thing and puts some of that blame onto Dany as well. So I do feel like it showed us some stuff that we didn't get to see before, which was good. But once again, that's more of a fault on season one for not showing us more of this rivalry by sort of having it pop up out of nowhere. Um, but I mean, as far as the main story is concerned, I still don't know where it's going. I still feel like Joy and Davos are not interesting enough to be kind of the main villains for this season. And I don't know if they are going to be or not, but it certainly seems like that's where they're headed. But overall, not too bad so far. Still just not quite good enough. So we'll see where it's headed. But yeah, that's it for this one. So on to the next one. See you there. Now, episode 3, This Deadly Secret. Dot, dot, dot. So finally, we have a chance to have everybody sit down and explain the reasoning, and the reasoning's still pretty stupid, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, Joy's whole thing, oh, once you came back into my life, you lied to me about my father, and blah, 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 blah. I'm just sitting here thinking, yeah, okay, how would you have reacted if they had told you? And I don't know, just the fact that she's pretty much become, how should I describe it? She's not really like an evil like Lex Luthor type. It's like she's trying to pretend to be that. Um, I don't know. Like everything she does, Davos is talking to her. "Oh, I see you whenever you're doing your negotiations, and it just you exude power," or whatever he was saying. I don't know. It seems like she's suddenly become like this. Ooh, guys, she's evil now. Like she's a chess player. Ooh, like look at her go. I don't know. It's just not that interesting. She's not very compelling as a villain, especially in the because the first season it seemed like she was the only one that was trying to be nice to Dany, and now all of a sudden she's like just completely 180 ever since she met her father. It's like, oh, I know who I am now, and I don't know. It's not really that compelling. I'm not interested in it. Um, I'm glad Colleen finally called everyone out. I love that scene where she's like, "Am I the only one with the balls to say how it is?" And finally, everybody just says how they feel, and ultimately nothing gets resolved because of it. But at least now they know where everybody stands. So enough of this playing nice around each other type of thing, which was kind of pissing me off. Um, but aside from that, you got Ward and his NA stuff, which isn't really that interesting either. He blows up because apparently somebody told Joy about it. Um, and that's honestly pretty much it. This whole story with the gangs trying to fight each other. I don't know. Apparently, they talked about peace, and then all of a sudden Yang died or is out of commission. I guess because his wife didn't sound like he was dead when she was talking to Dany. It sounded like he was just he's out of commission right now. And at the end, somebody tries to kill them, and then they end up fighting, and I don't really know why. Davos sees the pictures, which apparently Walker took, which is I guess the other personality of Mary inside of her, and we finally get to see she actually is somewhat intimidating, but not really. She like holds up the swords, so I guess they didn't know that she had another personality or something along those lines. I don't know. It's pretty confusing. Maybe some of it will get explained, but just once again, the fact that it seems like Joy and Davos are going to be the quote unquote bad guys for this season is not all that interesting because Davos's reasoning makes some sort of sense now because we finally got to see the backstory, but we didn't see any of that in the first season. We didn't see any build up in the first season to this. It just all of a sudden, boom, he's against Dany now. And then Joy, same situation, where I don't really feel like her reasoning is justified. It feels like she just all of a sudden 180 on a dime, and she's all of a sudden a bad guy now, and it just doesn't really fit overall. So I'm curious to see if it'll get any better, but right now I just don't really have interest. But that's it for this one. So now on to the next episode. See you there. And on to episode 4, Target Iron Fist. So I'm actually going to kind of go through this one really quickly because, I mean, in all honesty, I kind of feel the same way that I have about most of this season so far. And I'm 4 episodes in, which for this Netflix series is actually close to halfway. In fact, I just found out there's only 10 episodes for this season, so literally the next episode will be the halfway point. And apparently, this whole season's about Davos becoming the another Iron Fist, or I don't know if he's stealing the power from Danny. I can't imagine that he's going to. I don't know. I just can't imagine Davos has the Iron Fist and Danny doesn't, and this season's gonna be about him taking it back. Because I feel like the way that he had to take it from Danny in the first place is already like. I just feel like he's taking the power, but Danny still has power type of thing. I assume. I don't know, but that's pretty much what this episode is. It's Davos going and getting, I guess, a former Iron Fist, getting some of his skin that had the tattoo on it, and then getting some of Danny's blood. Walker apparently takes Danny down. And that's pretty much it. You know, the rest of it, not that interesting. The whole thing with Joy and Ward right now is not really that interesting either. Both of them are I mean, honestly, Joy has gone 100% asshole in this season, but Ward is still kind of a dick too. So I just don't really like either of them. I thought, honestly, their story in the first season was the most interesting part of the season for me. Um, I don't know why, but for some reason it just stands out. Like I loved seeing Ward go through this kind of psychological torture when his dad comes back from the dead, and then he kills his dad, and his dad comes back again. I don't know. I love seeing all of that, seeing Joy deal with that as well. But then they just kind of took it in a terrible direction, made Joy actually more like her father, and then Ward kind of just got his sanity back, sort of. I don't know. It's not really all that interesting anymore. And ever since the dad died off, I don't know. I've lost interest in the Meachums. Colleen dealing with some stuff with Misty. You know, she shows up, tries to tell them, "Hey, don't do this," and then they go and do it anyway. And then she doesn't really stop them. And I don't know. I mean, Misty is still the same person that I saw in Luke Cage season 2, but it feels like they just kind of threw her in to remind us, hey, this is part of a bigger universe. You know, in case you forgot, there's other people here. That's kind of what she feels like. She feels bit part in this episode, and I'm a little disappointed. Maybe she'll have a bit more of a point as the season goes on, but right now it feels like she doesn't really mean a whole lot. She's just there to tell them, hey, don't do this, and then they do it anyway. So yeah, I don't know, I'm not all that interested. Maybe it'll get better, maybe things will improve, but I don't see it. I really don't see it. I'm probably, since these reviews are a bit shorter, because honestly, I don't need to recap the episode in these. I just need to talk about how I feel, because a lot of people have already blasted this show, and well, I don't feel like it's as bad as I've heard. It's not good. It's just bland. And so I feel like I can just sort of done with this review. You know, I don't. There's nothing that stands out to me in particular about, oh, this is really really good, or oh, this is really really bad. It's just all kind of there, and it's happening, and it's like noise in the background of me right now. So that's how I feel right now. I'm sorry if you guys, if you're watching this and you expected more of a review. I just don't feel like it's worth wasting time on this show, honestly, to talk about everything that happens. It feels like this show is a waste of time. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to I guess, the last episode in this review, episode 5, and then I'll cut it off. But anyway, I'll see you there in a sec. And finally, episode 5, Heart of the Dragon. So, yep, halfway through, and I totally see. Okay, not totally, but I'm starting to see why this show kind of got canceled. Because really, I mean, it's not all that interesting. You know, it feels like maybe if they had a little bit more time to flesh out some of this stuff, but I mean, in all reality, you start off this season, some of the stuff that Danny is talking about to Ward in this episode, about how he was using the fist and it was bothering him, you know, he let it control him, whatever he was saying. A lot of that we saw in like the first episode, and that was it. And then he was acting a little angry later on, but we never actually got to experience any of that. Once again, I feel like it's the first season's failure. You know, this is stuff, if we had tackled it in the first season a little bit, if we'd gotten to know some of this stuff in the first season, with Davos, with Danny and the Iron Fist, with the responsibility he had, with Joy and maybe her despising Danny for coming into her life and despising Ward. But all of this feels like it's just stuff that they popped up either at the end of last season or at the beginning of this one. And it's just not good enough. It's stuff that we haven't had time to deal with, or we had a little bit of time, but it wasn't enough time devoted to it because we kind of drove by, saw it for a second, and then kept on going. So, yeah, a lot of these issues I just don't feel like I'm experiencing. I feel like they're just talking about it, and I'm just listening to them say it without having seen any of it happen. And that's kind of a big problem. So, yeah, overall, I mean, it still could get interesting. There's still elements of it that I feel like might be able to be tackled. Danny doesn't have the Iron Fist anymore, so I don't know what they're gonna do with that because he can't take on Davos without the Iron Fist. Oh, but he can still fight. Yeah, but the Iron Fist is kind of what made him who he was. It's what made him such a good fighter. So if you take that away, how's he gonna be able to fight? Because a lot of those fights that he was in, he actually started to lose near the end until he brought out the Iron Fist. So I don't know if it's going to work as well without him having that. But we'll see. Maybe they have something in plan. Maybe they have something in store. If it's something like, oh, his will brings back the Iron Fist or something like that, I'm probably going to puke. Because we saw everything that Davos did just to get the Iron Fist in the first place. So why would... If there's some sort of, like, mystical being or something, this dragon that gives Danny the Iron Fist in the first place, why would it just willingly give Davos the Iron Fist through this ritual, and then Danny's just going to get it back through the power of will or something along those lines? Why would it be able to be transferred like that in the first place? There's just, I don't know, it feels like they're going to just make something up to make it to where both of them can have an Iron Fist for an ultimate showdown, because that's just where it seems like this is headed to me. I don't know why. I don't know. There's just something in my mind when I first saw Davos get the Iron Fist. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so the climactic battle is going to be the two of them using the Iron Fist fighting against each other, right? Because they're going to have that one moment where the both of them hit Iron Fist together and it's just going to explode. Because it just sounds like something they would try to do to up the ante. Like, oh, isn't this intense? Boom, two Iron Fists together, explosions. And I don't know. I'm not interested. And they haven't done well enough to capture my interest, and that's kind of a big problem. So, yeah, overall, not looking forward to it. Kind of disappointed. Even with my lowered expectations, I'm still disappointed because I feel like they've just sort of started making up things out of nowhere. Yeah, that's about it. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this first half of the season? Let me know. We could talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for your Iron Fist reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.